Okay, welcome to Pre-Algebra 1.6. We're dealing with everybody's favorite fractions today. We are going to work on practice 1.6 on page 25. Let's see here. The first part of it is a review. We've done these for a long time. We're just going to identify on numbers 1 through 6, identify the fraction as proper or improper or a mixed number. Alright, so a mixed number is always going to have a whole number in front of the fraction. An improper fraction is going to have a numerator that is larger than the denominator, and a proper fraction is going to have a larger denominator than the numerator. So on the number 1, 4 3/4, there is a whole number in front of the fraction, so that is going to be a mixed number. On number 2, it is 15/4. The numerator is larger than the denominator, so that is going to be an improper fraction. And number 4, you have 2/9. Numerator is smaller than the denominator, no whole number up front. That is going to be a proper fraction. On numbers 7 through 12, it's asking us to express each improper fraction as a mixed number or a whole number. Alright, so all we're going to do is, this is really the same thing as 12 divided by 5. So we'll kind of do that. I'm going to show you an example one time. 5 goes into 12 2 times, which equals 10, leaves 2 left over. So it goes into it 2 times. It's our quotient. And there's 2 left over 5. Alright, so now that you've done that, you can just look at it and say 5 goes into 12 2 times with 2 left over. Okay, number 9. We have 90/14. So we're going to say that 14, you could reduce this. We know it's each one's divisible by 2 because they're even, so that's the same thing as 45/7. This makes it easier for us to do in our head. 7 goes into 45 6 times, which is 42, which means there's 3 left over. On number 12, 182 over 13. That one's going to be a little bit tricky. It looks complicated, but really we're just going to divide 182 by 13, and we're going to get a whole number. That 13 goes into 182 14 times. Number 13 through 18, it wants us to express each mixed number as an improper fraction. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to say 7 times 5 plus 2. So 7 times 5 is 35. Plus 2 is 37 over 5. So it's going to be multiply these two and then add the 2 to it. 1 times 7 is 7, plus 6 is 13 over 7. Number 19 through 26 wants us to reduce each fraction to lowest terms. So this is where we're going to go to the last lesson on the greatest common factors, these common multiples, and get these down to reduced terms. We want them to be relatively prime to each other. So we know that 3 goes into 3 and 3 goes into 6. The factors of 3 are 1 and 3. Factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. The largest one they have in common is 3. Okay, so number 19, we know that 3, 6, 3 will go into 3 and 3 will go into 6. So we're going to divide both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. You'll notice that 3 is the greatest common factor. So you're looking for the greatest common factor of the numerator and denominator. whatever that greatest common factor is, you're just dividing by it. All right. This one you can make a little bit easier. Anytime that you got, so on number 22, you got 40 over 100. That 0 and that 0 can cancel, leaving us with 4/10. And I know that that's divisible by 2, and that's divisible by 2. That's the greatest common factor. I'm going to be left with 2/5. 35 over 126, a little bit trickier. I do know that 35, the factors are 1 times 35 and 5 times 7. That's the only 4 factors, so I just need to see if 126 is divisible by any of those starting with a larger one. So 35 does not go into it because you got 35, 70, 95, 130, 165. So there's no way it's going to go into 126. 5 does not go into it, so I'm going to try 7. Okay, so when I do 126 divided by 7, 7 goes into 12 one time, which is 7. Leaves me with 5, bring in 6, 7 goes into that 18. So it goes in 18 times with no remainder. So I know that this is divisible by 7, and this is divisible by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5. 126 divided by 7 is 18. That will be our solution to that one. Okay, now 27 through 31, it wants us to, 27 through 29, wants us to write equivalent fractions, or fractions of the same. We kind of do the opposite. Normally we reduce them. Sometimes we have to get a common denominator, so we know, can we make this equal? Well, what did they do to the 8 to make it a 32? They multiplied it by 4, right? So if they multiplied the bottom by 4, what would we have to do to the top? We'd also have to multiply it by 4. It's going to give us 12 over 32. On number 29, what did they do to the 11? What did they multiply it by to make it an 88? Well, they multiplied it by 8. 8 times 11 is 88. So whatever they do to the bottom, I need to do to the top. 2 times 8 is 16. All right, the last one, they want us to put these in order from the least to the greatest. All right, so we need to decide what's the smallest of 1/3, 3/10, and 4/15. The easiest way to do that is to get them all to have the same denominator. We got 1/3, 3/10, and 4/15. The least common multiple of 3, 10, and 15 is 30. So I'm going to multiply that by 2, that by 3, and that by 10. So I'm going to get something over 30, something over 30, and something over 30. Whenever I do the bottom, I have to do the tops. You get 10 over 30, 9 over 30, and 8 over 30. So now I can easily compare them, which one's the smallest. Well, the smallest one is the one with the biggest difference between the numerator and the denominator. 8/30, 9/30, and 10/30. So my smallest one is whichever one is the 8/30, which is 4/15. 9/30, which is 3/10, is the next one. And 10/30, which is 1/3, is the last one. So on find the LCM of the denominators and then compare.